Okay, so dear students, I welcome you all in today's live session, today's orientation and guidance session for the subject of Advanced Audit and Assurance for June 2024 attempt. Very warm welcome, greetings of the day. I hope and I pray that all of you are doing good by the grace of Almighty. Well, with the hope and best wishes that whichever papers you appeared in went well, and you will clear those papers, we'll start planning for your upcoming paper, for your upcoming attempt, in which you will be attempting Advanced Audit and Assurance. Okay. My name is Munir Muhammad Shafi. I'll be your facilitator for the subject of Advanced Audit and Assurance. And we'll see what we have in for today's session. Well, first of all, a brief introduction about myself before starting the session, before starting the actual proceedings of the discussion. A brief introduction about myself. I am the tutor for the subjects of AAA. I also teach SBR. I teach AAA in English language, SBR in Urdu language, Hindi language. And I have been teaching these subjects for more than 9 years. Okay. I myself am a practicing auditor. I am managing partner of my own firm by the name of HM Chartered Accountants. I'm a fellow member of ACCA, fellow and practicing member of ICAP. I'm also associated with other professional bodies in different capacities. Like I'm QPRT of my organization for ICAEW training students. I'm also a member of various technical and professional committees of ICAP and ACCA Pakistan. I have been previously associated with KPMG, where I carried out my articleship, and I spent around 5 years. And then I moved into industry, started teaching. And this is my contact information for you people, that if any one of you wishes to reach me out, you can reach me out on this contact information. Okay. So the session agenda is on your screens. What will be our discussion today? What is our agenda today? Okay, so agenda is on your screens. We'll be discussing about AAA, what this paper is all about, what is its importance amongst all professional skill papers, because many students ask why we should opt for AAA. Why AAA? Why not other papers? They might be easy to pass. The passing ratio might be encouraging in other papers. So why AAA? Well, we'll discuss this. We'll discuss about the overview of the syllabus, what we will be actually studying when we will be progressing in our course. What is paper pattern? What are the key areas? What is the passing ratio? And as already mentioned, it's very poor. Ranges between 30 to 34, 35%. Not very encouraging. We'll talk about the reasons. Professional skill marks, very important. 20 professional skill marks are there. We'll discuss what are these and how to grab these. What are the reasons of failure? Very important, because we have to avoid these reasons if you have to pass AAA in the very first attempt. What do we mean by exam techniques? Why are they important? What are sample exam techniques? I'll tell you. What will be our teaching methodology? How will we be covering the course of AAA? I'll tell you about this. And what is our session planner? Okay, so let's start going one by one. So without moving on to other slide, let's first discuss about this. About AAA in its importance among all professional skill papers. Advanced Audit and Assurance. As the name itself suggests, this is the advanced paper of audit. Audit is something which is not new for us because we have already studied in earlier exams with the name of AA, Audit and Assurance. Many students have this paper exempt in the previous studies, and they're directly appearing for AAA. Even those students know what is audit, because obviously they've got exemption based on certain past exams which they've appeared in their respective bodies, but they know what is audit. So you know what is audit. Audit is simply examination of financial statements. We being auditors, we being chartered accountants, we are given the task to examine the financial statements. We examine the financial statements and then we give the opinion on the truth and fairness of the financial statements. Very simple. What is advanced audit and assurance? Obviously, things will not change much, but the concepts will increase. The technical difficulty level will increase. The standards which were earlier not tested will obviously be tested here in AAA. So things will remain the same. And we are still going to discuss how we audit, what will be our approach, what is audit planning, what is testing, how will we be testing. But obviously, the domain will increase. There will be enlarged domain. More accounting standards will be coming into play. More auditing standards will be coming into play. Yes, not only auditing standards, but accounting standards will also be coming into play when we will be discussing advanced audit and assurance. So obviously, this paper will be enhancing your skills as an auditor. You know the basic knowledge, and whatever you know, you might have forgotten. So we'll recap all those, so don't worry about that. But obviously, this is an advanced version of the audit and assurance paper. So it will be having additional aspects relating to audit and other services. In the previous paper, you might not have studied other services because we being auditors will not be providing only audit services as we are a commercial venture. So we'll be providing a variety of additional other services. So here in advanced audit and assurance, we'll be studying all those additional services as well. And we will see much when we will be discussing overview of the syllabus. Okay, now let's come on to this. Its importance amongst all professional skill papers. That's particularly important. Why you see that many students are opting for AAA in comparison with other papers? Why? Number one, the main reason. ACCA itself is an audit supervisory body. When an aspirant joins ACCA, Chartered Accountancy, audit is the core topic of Chartered Accountancy. A practicing Chartered Accountant is basically an auditor. So if I summarize my discussion in one-liner sentence, it simply means that in ACCA qualification, this is the main course meal. Others may be starter, others may be supplementary meals, but this is the main course meal of ACCA. Okay, so ACCA, being audit supervisory body, is basically preparing chartered accountants. And when we say chartered accountants, the first impression, the primary meaning of chartered accountant is an auditor. Are you getting this? You may say that we have passed APM paper, we may have passed AFM papers, we are performance managers, we are financial managers. But there are other primary qualifications for those subjects. Are you getting this? So possibly those aspirants which have passed the respective qualifications might be taken as more financial managers than those who are financial managers by passing ACCA. So this qualification, ACCA, is basically an audit certification, is an audit qualification. So therefore, you'll see maximum number of students opting for AAA. There are other benefits as well. It gives you edge in when you proceed for ICAEW, you get enhanced exemptions and things like that. But the thing is, the audit paper, the audit examination gives you an edge everywhere. Okay. Well, I hope this suffices the discussion. Now we move on to the overview of the syllabus. What is the syllabus of AAA? Okay. So we'll be having a quick overview, because obviously all these areas we're going to study in detail when we explore this course, when we expand this course. Obviously, all these areas will be the focus of our discussion. So there are learning objectives, and the first learning objective is regulatory environment, in which we'll be talking about the regulatory frameworks for audit assurance services. Money laundering is obviously now there are lots of regulations governing money laundering activities. So how the auditor is supposed to spot on money laundering, what are his responsibilities, how the money could be laundered, so that the auditors remain alert to report any suspicion to the regulatory authorities. And we'll be looking at things in detail when we cover this topic. Very interesting topic. This is something which you haven't studied earlier, but not a big examinable portion, not a big focus for exam purposes, but obviously it's a professional paper and we have to cover whatever is there in the course. Then consideration for laws and regulations. There's a specific standard ISO 250, which talks about consideration of laws and regulations in audit of financial statements, which laws and regulations are important, which laws and regulations the auditor should have knowledge about, because obviously they have to report on the financial statements. So all those laws and regulations which might be having the impact on numbers of the financial statements might be particularly important from audit perspective. So the auditor should be having the knowledge of all those laws and regulations. Okay. So we will see what are the auditor's responsibility when there is any non-compliance identified during the course of audit, how the auditor will proceed, to whom they'll report, how they'll report, things like that. Professional and ethical considerations, the learning objective, which is always an important one, be it your earlier paper of audit and assurance, be it SBL, be it SBR, be it AAA. Ethics comes in everywhere. Here it's particularly important because it's one of the favorite areas of the examiner, and you'll see this in every attempt. Okay. So we'll be discussing about threats to objectivity. We'll be discussing about fundamental principles of ethics. We'll be discussing about fraud and error. What is fraud? What is error? What are the audit implications? How the professional liability may arise. Suppose if auditor is negligent in his work, can somebody sue the auditor? For how much? For how much? What is the extent of the auditor's liability? Can it be prevented? Can it be protected? Things like that. For example, if someone occurs any loss on account of wrong opinion of the auditor, will the auditor be liable to pay him the amount? What amount? Question mark. We'll discuss, you'll see in the lectures, what is the actual principle, okay? Then it's the quality and practice management learning objective. This learning objective, again, is a very important one and examiner's favorite one, okay? We will see multiple questions appearing from this learning objective. Quality and practice management, there are certain standards which we have to study, and how we should be managing the quality within our firm, how we'll be managing quality in the engagements, specific engagements. One aspect is how to implement the quality in the entire structure of the organization of the firm. The other one is how to maintain and inculcate the quality within the engagement. Okay. How can we advertise our service? How can we tender the assignments? What are the aspects relating to work, professional, or to obtain or to secure professional works? What are the fee considerations and things like that? Professional appointments. Suppose someone has asked us, dear Mr. Auditor, we are willing to appoint you. What are the professional ethical considerations when you are getting appointed? You have to see a lot of things. There is a big checklist. So the entire checklist will be evaluated. Entire area will be evaluated before we go on to accept the client. Then comes the actual planning and conduct of the audit. Now, this is the most important learning objective of the syllabus, actual audit of the financial statements, actual order of the financial statements. And it has certain stages. Planning stage, which is called risk assessment stage. We smell the risk, we identify the risk. And then in the next phase, we test those risky areas. We actually perform audit test on those risky areas. We gather evidences. And in the light of the tests performed and evidence is obtained, we then conclude our audit. We complete our audit and we actually go on to issue the audit report. Okay. So there are lots of considerations during planning. For example, risk assessment, materiality consideration. Then we have to test the transactions. We have to gather evidences. We have to test the transactions. We have to perform audit procedures. We have to obtain audit evidences. You might want to use the work of others, actuaries, financial valuers, etc. We may to be involved in group audit, where we may need to make certain communications with the component auditor, the subsidiary auditor, because obviously if we are the parent company's auditors, we are the group auditor, we will be issuing the opinion on the entire group's financial statements, which might not have been necessarily be audited by us. So we'll be communicating with the component auditors and we will see how we do this. So again, this is something new for you. And in audit procedures, audit testing, and risk assessment, all your SBR standards will be tested. Okay, so there is an assumption that you know all these standards which have been tested at FR level and SBR level. Okay. Then comes completion, review, and reporting. Then once we are done with the audit testing, we go on to actually give the audit opinion. And there are some completion aspects as well, like subsequent events, like going concern. We have to consider these. Completion and final review. And then after the final review, we go on to issue the audit report. We may need to do certain communications with those charged with governance as well, the board letter and things like that. Then comes a very interesting area, which is called other assignments. As I told you that although we are auditors, that we will not only be performing audits, we are a commercial venture. We will be providing a variety of services. Do other services come under the ambit of standards? Yes, we have additional standards which govern variety of services. We govern variety of opinions, in fact. Okay. So there will be multiple services, audit related and assurance services, audit related services. Other assurance services, there could be a special assignments, specific assignments, like due diligence, like review of interim financial information, like prospective financial information. We know due diligence, we will be discussing. Corporate finance services. So due diligence means a company, a target acquirer company is willing to acquire the target company. So, first of all, they need to carry out certain study before they acquire the target company. Is it a good acquisition? Are they performing good? Aren't there any issues? So they take the help of a chartered accountant to assist them in taking this decision. So this could take a form of a review opinion. And we'll be looking in detail when we will be actually looking at this area. Interim financial information, mid-year review of the financial statements, prospective financial information, the future forecasted financial information, forecasts, budgets, forensics, any case which involves legal complications. Court of law is involved. And you will be asked by the court of law to carry out an investigation and identify any potential problems. Audit of performance information in public sector. Now, in public sector, there are various performance indicators. Are they performing good or bad? So, what will be the audit procedures? Social environmental sustainability integrated reporting. Many companies do give social reporting, environmental reporting. So we being auditors might be required to give opinion on those. Okay. So audit of these and obviously the reporting of these areas. Audit reporting, review reporting, whatever the case is. Then come current issues and developments. So there are certain current issues and developments relating to audit industry. Examiner also time and again keeps on giving article. And when examiner issues article, it's likely that the latest trends and information relating to audit may be tested, which have been hinted by the examiner. Professional skills. Now, these are the skills which a professional student should have. Very simple. Well, these 4 skills which are in front of you, you are looking on your screens. Communication analysis, communication, number 1. Analysis and evaluation, number 2. Number 3 is professional skepticism and judgment. And number 4 is commercial acumen. Earlier, these professional skills were not there. But now, thankfully, you have 20 marks. You have 20 marks flowing from these professional skills. That means your content-based technical paper is of 80 marks only, and the rest of the 20 marks will be for these professional skills. Isn't this wonderful for students? They have to write the content of 80 marks and they'll end up scoring 100 marks. The most ideal situation. So the time is saved. The content is shrinked. Your exam paper doesn't contain that much information. So basically, this is a beneficial move by ACCA. Now, if any student is unable to secure these marks or maximum marks, it's the student's fault because ACCA is trying to make things easier for you. Communication skills. These 4 marks. We have 4 marks for communication and question number 1 for the briefing notes. The format of the briefing notes and structure, that's something easily understandable. So these 4 marks in your kitty. Rest of these areas have 16 marks. Sorry. Sixteen marks from the remaining three skills. What are those? Analysis and evaluation. Whenever you are giving any number, you have to analyze it. You have to evaluate it in the given of the additional information in the question. And we'll see how we do this. You also have to make your conclusive statement or the resulting statement that what is your analysis? What is your analysis with the numbers? Be it positive, be it negative, but you should be giving your analysis and evaluation. Is it right or wrong? Good or bad? Professional skepticism and judgment. It simply means that your radar should be alert for any inconsistency in the information given verbally or in form of documents. Professional skepticism, the questioning mind, the critical thinking, the critical judgment gesture. This is the inbuilt quality of an auditor. An auditor cannot be a good auditor when these phenomena, professional skepticism, is not in the auditor. Okay. And obviously, as the course will proceed, we will discuss it further. Commercial acumen means business sense. It will help you out in business risk analysis question, control testing, suggesting additional controls, things like that. Commercial acumen means business understanding. We are auditors, we are auditing a company. So obviously we need to have business understanding in relation to this industry in which the company is operating, because we might have to suggest certain things. Okay. So this is such a powerful qualification, audit, that even though you are not very much familiar with the things in the past, but you can still, you're a chartered accountant, you can develop the business understanding, you can develop the information of the client, get this information, process this information, and suggest additional controls, business parameters, business risks if required. Okay, it's commercial acumen. So this is also will be tested in questions like where you find a business risk or you find control suggestions, things like that. Okay. Employability and technology skills. When we talk about employability and technology skills, here it simply means the use of CV practice platform. This practice platform. Are you getting this? So you have to actually practice by typing and utilizing this CVE practice platform. So this all discussion relates to the practice platform, how to use the workspace, how to use the screen, how to use the other tools, which you already know. You can practice on your own as well. This is basically a sample exam pattern for your understanding. It's a 100-mark paper, but question number 1 is of 50 mark. 40 marks are technical, 10 are professional. And you'll see the content-based technical marks are now 80. And the rest of the 20 will be automatically flowing in the kitty if you have done 80% right. Okay. It's not that you've done 80% right. It's that when you have prepared for those 80 marks, these 20 will automatically be in your kitty. So what is the usual format? Question number 1 is usually set at the planning stage. Identify risk, business risk, audit risk, things like that. Okay. It could be an existing client or a new client, obviously. So what will be our approach? We will try to identify the techniques, the relevant bullet through which we have to nail the question down. So here we have the bullet of business risk and risk of material misstatement, because this is a planning phase question. So risk assessment will always be there. So we will prepare the best for this risk assessment part, because it's always there. Business risk, risk of material misstatement, and things like that. Okay. But in question number 1, which is the 50-marker question, there could be ethical, professional, and quality management matters as well. There could be procedures and evidence may be asked. But this is not a hard and fast rule. Various requirements are being asked in question number 1. But our target is to demonstrate that which are the technique-based areas which you will usually see in these questions. What is my purpose of telling you that which technique-based areas are applicable? Why is it important? It is therefore important because when you will be aware of the technique, name of the technique, you will get yourself aware with what the actual technique is. This is the name of the technique. But what is the technique? What is the method? What is the method of drafting business risk? What is the method of drafting audit risk? This is the technique. If you follow the technique, you'll secure maximum marks. If you won't follow, you will lose few marks. Okay. Similarly, in the reporting completion area, completion and reporting phase, technique-based area, reporting, audit reporting is itself a technique-based area. What is the misstatement? Quantify it, how to write a para, which para will be used, things like that. Procedures and evidence also come up in this question. Here it also comes up. Here it can also come up. And there could be a question relating to ethical, professional, and quality management matters. Students can say it has already appeared here. It's not a hard and fast rule. Okay, may appear in both the questions. Okay, ethical, professional, and quality management matters. Then another question again. It revolves around the other assignments. Usually, okay. Again, what will be the considerations? What will be the actual areas which may be tested? Acceptance, whether we should accept this non-audit assignments as well, whether we should accept this other assignment as well or not. What procedures will be performed on this non-audit assignment? Is if it is a social and environmental audit, we don't have any expertise. Or suppose if we are planning to perform certain procedures, then what should be those procedures? Okay. And how to draft it, obviously. Or there could be any knowledge area. So ethical requirement can feature in any question. Audit and other procedures can feature in any question. Other standards requirement are also periodically tested. This is just an indicative grid. Selective studies are discouraged. Okay. So this is a sample past exam trends on your screen for your reference. Okay. So you can simply see okay, just hold on. Okay. So you can simply see okay. You just hold on. Okay. So you can simply see there, audit risk, business risk, audit risk, business risk. So you can see these requirements are appearing in almost every attempt. As per the pattern which I've just demonstrated you, okay? See, quality management considerations, quality management issues, prospective financial information. So all these are technique-based areas and quite repetitive areas. So if you have done one question relating to prospective financial information, it is as if that you can do multiple other questions. So examiner is predictable. Papers are predictable. And if we know that if we follow the technique, if you maintain a technique in these areas, we do wonders. It can fetch us full marks. So what's the problem? The problem is, rather than learning from others' mistakes, what students try to do, they try to do the same mistakes again and again. Areas are predictable. Questions are predictable, but obviously the question will not be repeated as it is exactly. Okay. So we have just seen past exam trends and analysis. What are the reasons of failure? We'll be discussing it in detail later on as well when we'll be covering our course. Poor memory of accounting standards, selective studies, poor memory of accounting standards. We'll try to recap the key standards. Lack of paper technique. I told you, you should know the paper technique. What are the technique? I'll show you the sample. Lack of practice, you don't practice. You have to practice on CV practice platform. Poor answer planning. You have to first of all plan the answer. Spend 25% of the time in planning. No matter you haven't written a single word in 25 minutes, but plan first. Okay. Practice. Poor answer planning. Poor writing skills. Writing skill again will be enhanced with the practice. Unable to adapt the mindset or role as per the given case. If you are given a role, any given role, manager, senior manager, you have to think and act accordingly. Reasons of failure, failure to understand the requirement, failure to understand the marking scheme. There's only one mark for a particular part, and you have spent the whole page. Useless. So, failure to understand the marking scheme. Problems. We'll try to guide you about that. Students are unable to comprehend the issues. They're unable to identify, explain the issues. That's a big problem. You have to keep on practicing the questions more and more so that the comprehension of issues does not become an obstacle. Poor typing speed. Effectively, when content-based marks have been reduced, the paper should be completed on time. There should be really any right typing speed. But see, these are the reasons which the examiner is giving, in fact. Poor time management, overrunning on a specific part, ignoring technical articles, ignoring examiner's reports. So all these are the reasons of failure. Very importantly, accounting standards. Because your question, be it the risk assessment phase, be it audit testing phase, be it completion phase, your accounting knowledge accounting requirements knowledge will be very pivotal, very pivotal, very key. Are you getting this? Now, these are the sample exam techniques, just for the sake of your understanding, that how we have extracted the exam techniques. If it's a business risk, you have to identify the information which is creating the risk, explain how the impact will be impacting the business operations, And if there are any relevant trends given, you can use. Okay, so business risk. There is a technique for business risk. Marking is key. Then an example. Obviously, when we'll be studying these areas, we will be doing examples as well from past exam questions. Lots of examples, hopefully. So see, again, this is the technique. Now see how much steps. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So 3 steps. 4th step, why you feel there is a risk, why you feel that the incorrect or incorrect treatment has been applied and correct treatment has been ignored. Why do you think? If there are numbers in the financial statements, use those numbers to identify relevant trends and communicate what you can. You will be getting marks for it. Impact. Is it the risk of overstatement, understatement, or under-disclosure? Whatever the impact is, you have to disclose it in the financial statements. So see, these are the sample exam audit risks which have been drafted, keeping in view the principles which have been guided to you. All these are the examples of audit risks. So I'm not reading it because obviously they'll be coming in the respective discussion. We again now see this is a quality management technique. Sampling is a quality management considerations. Exam technique. How the examiner is approaching, how the examiner is asking. If you really require to critically evaluate the quality of audit working papers, examiner asks this. So have all the requirements of ISA being followed? Appropriate level of staff? Has the work been allocated to sufficient staff? Is there any time pressure? Because we know the time pressure creates intimidation threat. Whether it has been properly evidence available or not. Was there any audit plan followed or not? And things like that. So quality management has a lot of elements in the checklist. So see, this is acceptance considerations. I told you now the acceptance considerations. For acceptance considerations, for the drafting, we have this entire chart. Okay. So these are the techniques for audit acceptance consideration, non-audit acceptance consideration. So we have to analyze these in the light of the given information. Then we will suggest that which is the problem. Are there ethical threats which is becoming a problem? Is there any competence issue? Staff and resources? Can we meet the timing deadlines? Yes, we'll write yes. No, if we'll write no. But we need to keep one thing in mind. That all exercises will be subject to the verification, either of ICAP or either of either of the chartered accountancy body or the local regulatory body. There are lots of checks and balances. So if acceptance considerations have not been completed, the checklist has not been fulfilled, all the compliances have not been ensured, there could be problems in future reviews. Okay. So we have to see timing and deadline, other professional considerations, fee problems, and what will be the additional considerations for non-audit assignments. So we are not discussing it here. We will discuss with the non-audit assignments. Okay. Although you'll find this in the lectures, but here we are. Matters and evidence question. It has a specific technique. Marking the scheme. Matters and evidence question. Okay. Now, these are the two checklists which enable you to recall matters and evidence questions. Okay. Okay. So how are we going to help you out? What will be our teaching methodology? We will try to ensure one live class per week, hopefully. You will be having the access of recorded sessions and weekly live classes. We have e-notes, slides. We'll be sharing these slides and notes. We have exam-based testing app. We'll be having regular assignments, hopefully. There will be a grand revision at the end of the session. WhatsApp support, group is available, latest study support material, exam focused webinar, assistants. We have our assistants in the groups, so their help. Mock checking, live practice marathon. Okay. So planner and students resources. Let's see the plan. Okay. So today we are standing at 25th of March. All the date has changed and it becomes 26th, but we started in 25th. So the live orientation, course outline, key focus areas. Okay. We are discussing it, yes, today now. Then there are multiple learning objectives, and we will be covering their concept briefly. We'll be covering the concept very briefly because obviously the detailed discussion of the concepts is already there on the portal, which we'll be accessing. We'll be summarizing the concept and we'll be focusing on past exam practice in these live sessions, okay? So we'll be focusing on past exam practice in these live sessions. Okay? So every session will be of around 2.5 hours. Sessions will be on Saturday or Thursday. If there is any change of time, I'll communicate to you. Okay. I hope this suffices my discussion for the subject of advanced audit and assurance. Okay. Okay, so don't forget to make the use of these CE practice platform and the ACCA study hub. ACCA study hub. This is, you can access this study hub through your My ACCA login ID. And you'll find the entire study text here. You'll find this entire practice material here. Okay. So with the lectures, with the handouts, you can also refer this official study text of Triple and practice materials. And as I just shown you, planner will be having one live class per week. Timings may differ, timings may change, and we'll communicate it to you accordingly. Okay, so I'll be sharing this with you as well. So if there are any questions or concerns or doubts, please do let me know. Any questions, any comments, feel free to ask.
Well, sir, there are no questions at the moment. What I can only say is that the session was really important. It was eye-opening. So I've really got no queries at the moment.
Perfect. So when you'll be covering the lectures, if you feel any problem, if you feel any issue, you can always have interaction during the live sessions or WhatsApp group. So your tutor is always there to help you out. So don't worry about that. The key to success is the practice. Okay, your practice, coverage of concepts, and practicing the areas. In weekly live sessions, we'll be focusing on practice. So you'll be covering the conceptual areas on the portal. There are videos available, the conceptual videos, and weekly sessions will be very key for the practice. Okay, so we'll be focusing on practice. So let's keep this session till here. I hope things are pretty clear, crystal clear, and we'll be meeting soon in the live classes. So thank you so very much. Take care a lot. Almighty bless you all. Your tutor signing off. See you in the live session. Bye-bye.